ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्वोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यभिमः योगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततन्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Verse 47 कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भूः मा ते सङ्गोऽस्त्वकर्मणि. So, a sadhanam for moksha has been described here, which can prepare a person for the knowledge. And that sadhanam is karma yoga, because the obstruction to the knowledge is likes and dislikes. We'll see what it means actually. So, karma yoga is a sadhanam which can take care of likes and dislikes, which can make you free from the hold of likes and dislikes. That is called karma yoga, and definitely karma is involved here. But so karma is possible without the yoga, that is, which is attitude behind the action. But karma yoga is not possible without karma. Anyway, and this generally we do the karma for the sake of fulfilling our ragadveshas. We don't choose karma for the sake of karma. We choose karma for the sake of karma phala, and that too basically our choice is for a particular kind of a karma phala is based on a desire. That desire is called ragadvesha. So what it means is, like, what is raga? I have of course told you this. This is what is called dvesha. Let's say first, what you don't want and you have it, and you want to get rid of it. That's also desire, want to get rid of it. So that is called dvesha. And what you want to have it and you should have, well, that is raga. And what you already have and that is desirable to you, and you want to retain it. So that is also raga. So either you want to retain it, or you want to get rid of it, or you want to have it and you don't have it. That also you can say. So all this is nothing but raga dvesha. So this is raga dvesha, and our whole activity is nothing but raga dvesha. Our psychological problems also are all nothing but raga dvesha. And if how can you say, Swamiji, the problems are raga dvesha, psychological problem basically, because raga dveshas are here. They are not in the body, somewhere in the heart or kidneys, etc. They are right there in the mind. And therefore, definitely our activities, our all problems, psychological problems, are nothing but raga dveshas. And if we don't have a raga dvesha, we don't have any problem. That's our own experience. And therefore, like in a deep sleep state, well, so until we go to sleep, we have a raga dvesha. But once we go to sleep, and then till then, and then afterwards, we don't have any raga dvesha, because before going to sleep, the pillow should be comfortable and it's of that height, and the temperature should be this, and etc. etc. So we have that kind of a thing. But once how do you, Swamiji, why do you call it as a raga dvesha? Because if it is not there according to our choice, we have a complaint. If the height of the pillow is not proper, we have a complaint. If a proper bed cover is not there, there is a problem. If proper temperature is not there, there is a complaint. Therefore, we should understand that this is nothing but a raga dvesha. But once you have gone to sleep, you find that there are no likes and dislikes and no more problems. So necessity for karma yoga is because people are in the hands of raga dveshas. Our behaviors, our activities, our responses, our prejudices, whether and our maybe a cultural, maybe racial also. All this basically are controlled by our likes and dislikes. So prejudices and preferences come under raga dvesha, and of course there are some prejudices, or some, let's say, some preferences are binding, some are non-binding, and that is how and that's how even our gods also have a preferences. And when we worship God Ganesha, we offer him a sweet laddu, modaka, that we may say that he likes it. Actually, it is based, of course, on our own life. He has not come to your dream and told that I like modaka, but anyway, so we only say that he likes this and he likes this kind of clothes and he likes a particular kind of a car or vahanam, that's a mouse, etc. So we impute our own raga dveshas actually to Bhagavan also, to Devatas also. And we say Ganesha likes this, Shiva likes this, and Devi likes this. Devi means payasam. They always say Devi likes payasam. And Ganesha likes this. And our Murli Mohan likes, that butter and etc. Misri, everything. Anyways, so we can, so we impute raga dveshas on Devatas. Why? So that we can deal them as an entity. So as a person. So we can deal with the deity also as a person, because you have to deal. Yeah, if Devata is something like in the form of air, etc., you cannot establish a relationship. He should be like you. In your awareness, you are a person. Then you can deal with other entity, which should be a person. You can establish. Deal means here you can establish a relationship, and it's in your advantage. You want to establish a relationship. And then he should be a person. Then if he should be a person, he should have a raga dvesha. So we impute raga dveshas on deities or Ishvara, etc. We cannot, you try to see, we cannot deal with someone without preferences. We always deal with the person who has a preferences, but the idea is that our preferences should be non-binding. You can impute. You can superimpose any kind of preferences on Ishvara. Ishvara is not going to be getting a harm by that. Then no problem at all. But then you should have a preferences which are non-binding. And in everyone's life there are preferences that are non-binding in nature, and those preferences are also there which are binding. When preferences that are binding in nature, of course, are the ones we have to deal with. About those that are non-binding, we did not do anything. In fact, Bhagavan does not talk about non-binding preferences in Bhagavad Gita. How can you say so, Swamiji? Because he himself has certain preferences. Yeah, he himself has certain preferences. Because he always keeps a flute. He doesn't give you a darshana with the guitar in hand. And therefore, he always, all the time, that shows he is a tremendous attachment to his flute. And he comes with that particular kind of a feather and particular kind of a dress and everything, and particular kind of food and whatnot. So many preferences he has, and still he tells you to be free from the preferences. Well, he is not doing a pretendance. He is a Ishvara, and therefore he knows very well what he is talking, and therefore means even with lot of preferences in his life, he talks to you to become free from the preferences. Means preferences are of two types. And one is non-binding, one is binding. And definitely we should know the very big subject in Bhagavad Gita is this likes and dislikes. Other than this self-knowledge, whole thing, in my vision, everything is connected to likes and dislikes. Whatever Bhagavan has discussed, other than Atmajnana, is this second topic, is this alone. Everything. He may be talking about the values, etc., in moral values, etc., in 13th chapter, or it may be in the 14th chapter talking about gunas. Well, of course, it is more related to Atmajnana, but in 16th chapter talking about this Daivi Sampatti, Asuri Sampatti, all this, they are nothing but brothers and sisters of these likes and dislikes. And therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, the second topic, other than that, Atmajnanam, is this likes and dislikes, preferences which are binding. And so non-binding and binding ragadveshas, and we have to deal with basically binding ones. Now binding, but how will I know whether I have a binding ragadvesha or a non-binding? Binding and non-binding means what? One kind of a ragadvesha binds you, creates a bondage in you. Another set of ragadveshas does not bind you, does not create a bondage in you. That's how we had defined. So the binding ragadveshas are those whose fulfillment is must for you. And whose non-fulfillment you feel that you are a loser, you are a struggler, you are a seeker, all empty inside. If you don't fulfill that particular raga or even a dvesha also, then if you want to get rid of something and you could not get rid of it, then you find helpless and you find a seeker, and by hook or crook you want to get rid of it. Till then you can't be at rest. So that shows a dvesha, tremendous dvesha. So this is a binding dvesha. So we are a seeker because we have a hope, we want to fulfill our likes and dislikes. And these ragadveshas are binding in nature. And those binding ragadveshas make you act. And action does not take place without the reason. We always say the karma is preceded by kama. Of course, avidya is common, but karma is always preceded by kama, and kama means the desire, and desire means this ragadvesha. Ragadvesha only, impels the person to act. And so when you undertake then a course of action, there is definitely a like or a dislike involved. And this ragadvesha only is called a want or desire or a kama, etc. In the Sanskrit it is called kama. And so these likes, dislikes are behind every kind of an action. And so we are talking here about the person who has, on the karma yoga, who has just entered into this life of yoga. And well, of course, the karma is right there. So yoga definitely, when he undertakes this yoga, with a certain attitude he does a karma, definitely he has a set of ragadveshas which are binding. And so when he says I am a karma yogi, we have to accept that he has a certain likes and dislikes, of course, to fulfill. But he takes this, he undertakes these activities which produces a certain result, and these results are not always what the results he may get, it is not in keeping with what he wants. That happens. Since because I have only control over the action and I don't have a control over the result of an action. Then the result comes from whom? That's a question. That's a part we have not discussed much in the previous classes, even though we have discussed the whole verse. But this part we have not discussed. And so Karma Yoga definitely is basically a religious activity. And that is what we want to establish, because we all the time from the discussion since many days we used to tell that Karma Yoga is basically a prayerful attitude and the offering to Ishvara, etc. But definitely this activity is an offering, etc. That is, of course, the big more part of that is discussed in chapter 3. Here only we have 2 verses which is a gist of the entire Karma Yoga of the chapter 3. We have only 2 verses, 47 and 48 regarding Karma Yoga. So we can't discuss too many things, but still at least a few things we'll discuss, and one of that is who gives you the result of an action, and why should I accept the result as it is. I have a choice over action, and I don't have even though I am a contributory factor, why can't I choose the result of an action? And everyone's experience is that you can't choose the result of an action. Otherwise, where is a question of a failure? Where whatever the action you want to, whatever result of an action, if you can choose, then there is no question of failure. All the time you will be successful. But it doesn't happen at all. And therefore, there are several possibilities which is occurring. You are getting more than expected, and as per your expectation, or less than expected, or opposite to what you expected. All this is happening in all various undertakings we are seeing. We undertake all the activities ultimately for the sake of our karma phala only. And that because of raga dvesha is especially towards our result of an action. And then the result comes contrary, and we get disturbed because we cannot fulfill our raga dvesha. So definitely to deal with raga dvesha only, this attitude of karma yoga is essential. And here in this particular verse, of course, towards karma phala, towards result of an action, a particular attitude is required, which we call it as a karma yoga. So the result comes from what? So result comes from Ishvara. Now that's a discussion here. Result comes from Ishvara, because ultimately we have started that samatvam yoga uchyate, right? So samatvam means a sameness towards what? Towards the result of an action. You don't require sameness towards action, and you cannot do the same action at all. And it is not possible. And the second thing is you cannot even expect the same result also. You expect different results, and that's how your actions also are different. And desires also different. Definitely raga dveshas are different. Everything different. So sameness is where? We discuss this issue. The sameness is just an attitude behind the result of an action. Why? Because I can't choose that result of an action. And definitely that's where I require sameness. Because even it may come more than expected or less than expected or opposite to my expectation or as expected, whatever. I require definitely a sameness towards that. And and people are in general, there are people in the world who because they are right now successful, but they have undergone so much of pain in the life because of this kind of a situation which has come in their life. They have expected something and it turned out to be something totally contrary. And so these things are constantly happening. But some people, they develop this equanimity. That's called pragmatic approach, which this is not karma yoga. Even though samatvam yoga uchyate has been told, sameness towards the result of an action is karma yoga, let's say. But it is still a pragmatic approach. Well, Karma Yoga is different because sameness towards the result of an action, recognizing that the result comes from Ishvara. That is Karma Yoga. And but how does it help? And this is it seems it is an imagination where we don't see that he is sending a packet to me or through a courier or something as a result of my action. I don't see any kind of thing. So once we say we have to understand that. So once we say the result of our action is not within my control, which then it is being taken care of by whom? That's the question. It is taken care of by whom? So we simple. Immediately the answer comes. A person has a background of a science, he will immediately tells the results are taken care of by laws. Simple laws. And and the body of which we call either the law of dharma or law of karma, if you are a believer of karma, etc. So this is how we say, and we definitely say it is the law of karma which gives you the result of an action as per your karma. And but if you see now in the laws here, it is just a law of karma, but it involves several laws. Like suppose before this class, I was in the bathroom. I was doing this tilakam, a simple action, and the result is I should be able to do the tilakam. But if you think there are several laws are involved. The very first thing is I should be able to lift up the hand. It looks it's a physical law, but several things are involved in that. Several things are so many laws are involved that I am able to lift up. I am able to lift up that, lift the hand. Even behind that there should be a will. Well, which is not a physical law. It's not a physical law. This is a physical law that I am able to do that. I am able to lift. And behind that there is a will involved. And a thought is involved. And you can understand how the thought takes place. If you ask to anybody, any person who knows about mind, you ask him, several laws are there because of which a thought takes place. And then will is a special kind of a thought. And afterwards you are able to live. And then several, even in physical law, called simple lifting, involves so many laws inside the body by which you are able to lift. It is all the possibilities there that I have a will to lift my hand in order to do a tilakam, but I may not be able to lift. There are people who want to suppose a lift the hand and it just doesn't occur. So it shows it is not a simple thing. We may say that just lifting the hand and doing tilakam, it's a one law, but there are several laws. And in fact, the law behind all the laws is the law of karma, ultimately. Because my question is, why I am not able to lift the hand? Why I am not able to lift the hand? Every day in morning, evening I am able to do after the taking bath, etc. Why I am not able to lift now? Oh Swami, there must be some problem in your body. But why? Because something that happened, this happened. But why? Why this should happen? Not every day, but why this time? Why at this time it should happen? That I am not able to get a result of an action as per my expectation of doing tilakam. Why? So you will have to say, Swamiji, it's don't argue with like this, why? Ultimately it is law of karma. And law of karma means law of karma. This is how it is. It's a law of karma. And so we generally, in this Western culture, they call luck and unlucky. Swamiji, you are unlucky. Okay? Did you get an answer? You are unlucky. Okay? So you are not able to, this luck and unluck, etc. It's not our criteria. We say because of our past karmas. Some karma has fructified right now. And not that because of that I am not able to lift that. So the law of karma involves even the past karmas, and where they may infringe upon the result that you want from a particular action. So So you really do not know if this happens or not. So basically you appreciate that there is a law, in fact, that is ultimately at the work. We call generally law of dharma, but this law of dharma, instead of that, we will call it law of karma. So whatever is the law that governs the karma and its result is the law of karma, and that law of karma includes various others law. It may happen said that my hand is able to, I am able to lift, but the will itself doesn't occur in the mind to do that. It may happen so. Or the thought itself does not occur. Person becomes unconscious. It may happen. So several things can happen. If this result of an action doing tilakam itself will not take place. Just a simple action. Behind that there is ultimately a law of karma which involves several other laws. And then you may feel that who created this law? Because very intelligently working everything. Everything works intelligently. A thought is an intelligent phenomena. A will is an intelligent phenomena. Everything is intelligently functioning and with the law. Then who created this law? I have not created law, that's for sure. I am not the author of the law. If I am the author of the law, I would never be helpless. There would not be a word helpless in dictionary. If every human being is basically, the author of the law, then, well, definitely you would always be able to accomplish whatever you wanted. In fact, there would be no problem at all. And you could even reorganize the laws in order to suit to, so that you can get your desired result. So you would not even need to cover the distance to reach a place, because you wanted to go and you have to cover the place, right? Because you have a body and then the place is somewhere else, and therefore you have to, either walk or you have to take a vehicle or what. It's all under the law. And you wanted to reach immediately, very next moment. As the desire occurred in you that I want to go to a particular place, like your sister place or even a daughter place or son's place, whatever. You want to reach immediately. You could not reach. You are helpless. Why? Because you cannot be the author of the law. Definitely a law of distance, etc. Physical laws are there. This one body is at one particular place called A, and the place is at the B, and there is a physical distance, and to cover that distance you need a time, and this, so many things. And therefore, basically, if you are author of the law, you would not feel helpless. Whatever you wanted to do, you can do immediately. In fact, you need not do. You need not do. As the sankalpa arises in you, you will be able to do. You will be able to do. That's the difference between Ishvara and Jiva. Ishvara is omniscient, and we call, and omnipotent. So Ishvara is omnipotent, means he has all power. One who is all knowledge has all power also. Because his knowledge is not in fact obstructed by anything. No confusion, no ignorance. So one who is omniscient is omnipotent also. And one who is omnipotent, for them whatever he thinks of occurs. So Ishvara is called Satya Sankalpa. As the Sankalpa arises, the thing will be there. If after the Sankalpa arises, if he has to do something, I think Christianity they say like that the God created in the first day this thing. Then the God created the second day these things. God created third day these things. Fourth day these things. Fifth day these things. Sixth day these things. And then he thought, I have created everything, but without light, what will happen? So then what is the use of the creation? So in the seventh day he created sun. That's how Sunday. So the question is, how the first day is possible without sun? How the day itself is possible without the sun? Anyway, so and if God had to create, like first day something, second day something, do you think God is omniscient? He is helpless. And it may happen, so what he created previous day, it may happen that he has to modify now. So then what will happen? So this is all. Anyway, what I want to say is omniscient God, one who is all knowledge, he is not helpless. More the knowledge, person is less helpless. So therefore, the one who is omniscient is not helpless, means he is omnipotent. And therefore, Ishvara is a Satya Sankalpa. And in a small measure, we are also like that. In a small measure. And that is our dream. So far as the dream world is concerned, you are Satya Sankalpa. Yeah, you are Satya Sankalpa. Ocean. Yeah, ocean is there. Everything. Whatever you think. Pani Puri. What I have an example. And what I am saying is, ultimately, in a dream, you have a little potential of this. In the dream creation, you are, so far as the dream creation is concerned, you won't find you are helpless. You won't find. But in a waking world, you definitely find that you want to create something, you want to make something, you want to reach somewhere. I mean, you want a specific result of an action, and you have to undertake a specific activity, and it is all the time obstructed with ignorance, obstructed with confusion, obstructed with less knowledge, obstructed with skills, a want of skills, several things. And therefore a desired result will not come. May not come, is better, will not come. If it comes, well, law of karma is at work. It's working all the time, but the law of karma is working in favor of you. Anyway. So this is how, so definitely, we would not be helpless if I would be the author of the law. So as we know very little, we can only go by the known laws and know that the laws are not authored by me. Then the question may arise is, who authored them? Certainly not anybody in my lineage also, not my great-great-great-great-grandfather. All are created within the law, by the law, and they had gone also for good within the law. And therefore, no one in my lineage, any human being, no one a conscious being on the earth can be called a author of the law. And so to recognize the author, well, we have to take one more step. So we must first recognize that the author of the laws produces the result of action and not the laws themselves. We should be very, very careful about this. If you say the laws produces the result, you are physicist. If you say the author of the law produces the result, you are basically a religious person. Yeah, this is a difference. This is a difference. Physicists say the law produces the result. The law of gravitation has produced a result. It has fallen down here and it has gone to a particular height and it has come down, etc., etc., as per the law of the gravitation. And where is Ishvara in that? Where is Ishvara? Well, we say ultimately our knowledge of Ishvara, that knowledge is very essential. But because of that, we say not the laws, but the author of laws, well, definitely produces the result of action, any particular action. And when you go one step further and recognize the author as a Ishvara, well, you have the beginning of Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga involves many things. As we have seen, we have started seeing also, Samatvam, etc., Karmasu Kaushalam, etc. So many things are there. With respect to actions, there is a certain Kaushalam which is called Karma Yoga, or sameness towards the result of action is called Karma Yoga, etc. But the beginning of Karma Yoga is that there is other than me, a author of the law, we call it as Ishvara, is responsible for the result of an action. When you accept this, it is a beginning of a Karma Yoga. So the creation as such, well, the laws are there in the creation, which gives you a desired result or a whatever result. Well, this creation itself, which contains that law, everything, is not created by me. So whoever created it, well, the Ishvara, we call it as Ishvara, and that Ishvara is the giver of the result of an action. Like, it is when you receive money from someone month after the month, the postman is the one who actually gives you the money, delivers the money to you. But basically, it doesn't mean that the postman is a benevolent person who goes about distributing money, to everyone, like Santa Claus distributes. It's not like that. There is someone other than the postman who is to be thanked for sending the money. Similarly, the karma phala also is like this. Money is an earning, definitely. And so the result is produced by the karma phala, the result is produced by the law. And law itself is produced by another intelligent being. All intelligent being, Brahman, is Ishvara, the Lord, with reference to the creation. And well, he is the overlord, he is the boss who is not limited by time, space, etc. or any other thing. And he is the giver of the result of action. And and this definitely he is not even, I told you he is omniscient and omnipotent, etc. Well, we call it as a nimitta karanam, efficient cause, and also is the material cause also. Now we need not discuss all these things, we have already discussed. So he is a sarvagnya, sarvashaktiman, and omnipotent, and omniscient, is also the material cause of the creation. Because other than that, if you think of any material cause other than Ishvara, then you have to drop the concept of Ishvara itself. If you can prove, the day anyone will prove that there is a material different from the Ishvara, Ishvara is just a maker and material is really different from that. The day anyone proves it and the world agrees, we should stop going to the temple. We should simply not believe in Ishvara. Really, we should not believe. Because material and the maker, if they are separate, then maker has to be dependent on material to make. Any kind of a dependency is not it is in Jiva, it is not in Ishvara. Then there is a question of omniscient and omnipotent and all. These are the words, just dictionary words which will remain for 100, 200 years, and then they will go away because such an entity is not there. So other than in material, if it is separate from the maker, then definitely space should be there. How can without space both are separate? If they are separate in space. Then space, then who created the space? Still, because still he has to create everything. And the material is there, he has to create the whole creation. But before that, space was there. Then who created the space? Oh, space is a part of creation. Then if space is a part of creation, it is not yet created, then how come material and maker are separate? Explain. How can it be separate? Anyways, there are several other fallacies also, and we have discussed at one point. So maker and material cannot be different. That's what we mean. And therefore efficient cause and material cause is one alone, and that makes a sense. And so what is created also is he alone. Anyway, so he is not only the maker of the result of an action, but the very law. He is the very law, very result of an action, because whatever a result of an action is part of the creation. Okay? And therefore, if he is the material cause of the creation, therefore he is the creation. Because whatever creation is there, it is nothing but the material. And therefore, ultimately, he is the material of the creation, material cause of the creation, then he is the creation. And if he is the creation and you are getting a result of your action, which is part of the creation, means definitely in the form of a result of an action also, he is there. And so, this is all Karma Yoga, that he is the result of an action, he is the giver of the result of an action. And of course, and one more step if you go, it is all Vedanta. Then ultimately, if you see the creation and the Ishvara and the Jiva, Well, Jeev, Jagat and Ishvara, if one more step which we went in the morning is nothing but one thing alone, that is Brahman. So, but because we have topic of Karma Yoga here, and we have already discussed the Atma, which is Brahman, etc. before. But that's what I'm saying. Up to this point is Karma Yoga. If one more step is nothing but the knowledge, and you will say the Jiva who is the receiver of the creation, and the Ishvara who is the Karma Phaladata, all that is just due to Maya. Ultimately, it is one thing alone, that is Brahman. Be due to Maya alone, these three things are as though there. Anyway, so the Ishvara is the maker of the law, and the laws are definitely non-separate from the Ishvara, because the Ishvara is basically in the form of creation, and Ishvara is in the form of law. So all the laws are non-separate, because laws and the creation all goes together. All whatever the laws we are discussing under the physics or any other law in science, or other laws also in economics or whatever law, it's a part of creation. And the creation is nothing but the Ishvara is a material cause. So Ishvara is a creation, that means Ishvara is in the form of law. All the laws. That's how Pujya Swamiji calls it as order. Law means order. Niyati. And therefore, basically, therefore every law is a non-separate from Ishvara. And even the law of karma also is a non-separate from Ishvara. And definitely the result of action which is coming to you, well, it is from the laws that are not separate from Ishvara, means it is all the results coming from Ishvara alone. So more than he is Sarvagnya and Sarvashaktiman as an efficient cause, but if you take into account even this material cause, you will find a new definition of Ishvara, that is Ishvara is a karma phala data, because the laws give you the result and the laws are non-separate from Ishvara. Ishvara alone is in the form of laws, and therefore whatever the result of action comes to you is basically given by Ishvara as a karma phala data. And so it is this recognition of Ishvara as a karma phala data that converts into simple sameness, samatvam, into karma yoga. Simple samatvam, as I already told you, people may have because they might have undergone so much, and therefore they might have developed that attitude of a sameness, thinking that I have seen so much ups and downs. So okay, now it's a new situation arising in which there may be up or there may be down. That's okay. I have already seen, and he may be immune to that, and he may have developed a sameness for the situation, but he is not a karma yogi. He may be a pragmatic person, practical person, but he is not karma yogi. It is the recognition of Ishvara as a karma phala data, as a result of an action, as a different situation occurring in your life, which is nothing but a karma phala. Well, if you see there a hand of karma phala data, then you basically are karma yogi. And for that purpose, today we have started this discussion. People, you may be wondering why, Swamiji, we have finished that verse, but this aspect we could not cover, so I thought we should cover it now. So this is Ishvara is karma phala data, and therefore, okay, then whatever is there is ultimately God has created everything. Yeah, God has created everything. And therefore, then why should he create if he is a karma phala data, then we find in the creation there is a lot of disparity, a lot of injustice and everything. Why should he create somebody lame and somebody blind? Why should he create like that? Because ultimately, say any situation occur in your life is because he is a giver of the result of an action. He is in the form of law, of karma and everything. And so, and any law is non-separate from Ishvara, that is a conscious entity who is omniscient and omnipotent. And well, then whatever in my life right now, suppose I don't have eyes, then he has given me this situation in which I could not see anything. I could not see his creation. Why? Why should he do that? And at the same time, I know you are going to tell also a fourth word also for Ishvara. One more definition you are going to give. What? All compassion. Who will accept that? Who will accept all compassion God has made particular person lame after 5 years of his age, and he made someone born blind. Who will accept that? So basically, that problem will come, but Ishvara will not, he's a smart person, and therefore he has already told something which you know very well. The explanation of a human suffering has a basis in the very first part of the verse, Karmani eva tavadikar. So, answer to all this is, well, of course, as per the Jiva's karma, he is giving the karma phala. And to solve better this kind of a question, that he is not just the creator of the universe, he is the very creation. In fact, if the Jiva who is suffering, well, that Jiva itself is a non-separate from Brahman. We have seen that, and therefore everything is non-separate. Not only the laws, even the Jiva is non-separate from Brahman. Jiva is not created. Jiva itself is anadi. Only a particular body, gross body and subtle body is given, in which Jiva manifests. We call it as his Janma. So even Jiva is not created. Jiva is basically non-separate from Brahman. Due to ignorance, we call it same Brahman, we call it as a Jiva. And that subtle and gross bodies, are born, and that is also due to the karma of that Jiva. So in which he is a blind or he is a lame, etc. A particular kind of a gross body, or even, because of, this is due to his own karma. And so we should understand, we have a capacity, a free will to perform action, and so we can do whatever I want to do, but the result is always something that is taken care of by the law, that is Ishvara. So this is the clear division between the two. So we cannot blame Ishvara. What I am saying is, we cannot blame the Ishvara. So this is regarding, so Ishvara is the one, the result comes from Ishvara ultimately. So first we accept Ishvara, and then we accept Ishvara as a karma phaladata. Where in Karma Yoga, two things are required as a background knowledge. First thing is, there is a creator of the universe. And that creator is basically Abhinna Nimittu Padana Karanam. He is the creator of the universe, and he is the creation. He is the maker, and he is the material. And therefore all the laws are ultimately non-separate from the Ishvara. And therefore the result of an action which is shaped by any law is ultimately shaped by the Ishvara, and therefore any situation in my life which I consider as a result of an action, well, is basically given by Ishvara, right? This is how we have to see. And he is in the form of even law of karma. He is in the form of all the laws, but he is even in the form of law of karma. All the physical laws, psychological laws, physiological laws, etc. Well, all these laws are there, but behind all that there is another law also, which is a law of karma, law of dharma, etc. And therefore, any situation which is coming in my life, and I consider it as my prarabdha, or a result of an action, well, ultimately, he is the one who is a giver of the result. Because I have a choice towards an action, I can choose an action, definitely depending upon whatever I want, but then, and I can contribute that way. But other than that, ultimately the result will be shaped by varieties of the laws which are non-separate from Ishvara. And therefore, whatever the result comes in my life is ultimately, he is the giver of a result of an action. Now here that problem starts. Why should I get that kind of a result? That's all. That you are not speaking. Our likes and dislikes are speaking, because they are not getting fulfilled. They wanted a result in this way. Either they wanted to get rid of something, or they want to have something. And the result comes different. And therefore Raga Dveshas don't get a platform for their fulfillment, for their nourishment, because result comes differently. Definitely you choose an action depending upon keeping a particular result of an action in your mind. And there is nothing wrong in that. But result of an action comes from the laws prevalent in the creation, and depending upon your own karma, definitely if you don't get a particular result right now, think that past karmas are also infringing upon that. Anyway, so this is, but anyway, whatever the result comes, it is coming from Ishvara. So the two things are involved in Karma Yoga is this. First thing is, I accept Ishvara, and then I accept Ishvara as a Karma Phala Data, the giver of the fruits of action. So when you do this, it's a purely religious attitude. Now you can understand. It's not a pragmatic attitude. Pragmatic person is one who understands and accepts any up and down, any kind of a situation, a better situation or a situation in which he has a gain, or a situation in which he has a loss, either. And he immediately tells, I have seen such situations, I have gone through, no problem, it's okay, I can even sail through this, no problem. That is also samatva, it's also equanimity, it's a pragmatic approach. But that is not Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is one in which you accept for Ishvara, one thing, who is a creator and the creation both, and definitely who is even a giver of Karma Phala Data also, who is a giver of the fruits of action. And when we do this, definitely we are Karma Yogi, and it's a purely religious attitude. So, attitude of a Bhakta. What is that? What is the attitude we are seeing? So, recognition of Ishvara as a Karma Phala Data and is what makes us appreciate Ishvara in our daily life, because all the time in our life we are getting varieties of the situation, and in all the situation I see His hand. That's most important. That is what the Bhakta is. Bhakta is one in whose awareness all the time Ishvara is around, and therefore basically the Karma Yogi is a Bhakta. So even when you fall down or incur an injury or something, Ishvara's grace is at work. So that I fell down and of course hurt myself does not mean that His grace is absent. Under the law of karma, of course, I escaped a greater injury, because it may happen that I may get a small injury. I did not break altogether. And or sometime I fall. It happens so that sometime I fall down and not get injury at all, and sometime I fall down and get goes to hospital, or it may happen so that I may not return at all. All these are just a possibility. And so as a devotee, we are seeing Ishvara working constantly in my life, providing me varieties of the situations. So on one side, my free will is there, contributing towards a result of an action, just a contributing factor, and other than me, whatever are there, whose contribution we call it as a Ishvara's will, and that is Karma Phala Data's will. And whatever you get in your life is definitely, that situation, that is nothing but it is Ishvara has sent you a particular situation. And being a devotee now, you have developed a certain attitude towards that result of an action, which we will talk about now. So no matter what the karma phala is, you confront Ishvara. And please understand, this discussion, when it is going on, and suppose anybody's mind, not you or etc., anybody's minds just opposes, understand immediately those raga dveshas are opposing. I am not opposing, those raga dveshas are opposing, because they want a fulfillment, they want nourishment, they are shatrus, they want to grow in our head. And there are 3 sthanams also given to them. Like this, the extremists and terrorists they hide in Kashmir in several places. Their army goes to one place, and then that fellow has gone to some other place, and then they go to somebody says that he is at this place, and then they go there, and then from that to some other place. So in the third chapter, very beautifully says this: there are three places in the human body where they hide, and that is manaha, buddhihi, etc. And so it has been, and in the indriyani. So either they remain in the sense organ, and if we want to eliminate them and we attack here in the senses, then they reach to mind. And then you go to mind to kill them, then they reach to buddhi, intellect. I mean, these are the three places they all the time, they keep moving around. Anyway, so no matter whatever the karma phala, well, we confront Ishvara. In fact, right now I'm able to talk to you. I'm opening the mouth itself. I should say Ishvara is working. My tongue, of course, is moving up and down to pronounce, various letters, etc. To produce the words which comes out one after the other. We should understand that Ishvara is at work. And so, karma I can do. I mean, I can definitely choose to speak. And once I choose to speak, from next moment itself, in fact, even at the level of sankalpa, his laws are there. But at least I have a choice. Somebody goes to the extent, this discussion people keep doing, even the youngsters, I have found one group, who keep on, right till today, they have under this discussion. What is the role of prarabdha and what is the role of purushartha? Up to which the will of a person and then the will of Parmeshwara. They keep on discussing and discussing. They have not arrived till today. Only simple solution is, if you can postpone the action, you can do differently. Or you can, if you do it differently, or you need not do. That is choice. That's all. That's a role. Afterwards, under whatever the laws are there, once you choose an action in a given manner, afterwards, whatever happens is all due to the laws of Ishvara. And the Ishvara is at work, we can say. So, karma we can do, but karma phala is something that takes place because of the laws that are nothing but the Lord, because ultimately whole creation is Ishvara, and therefore the laws in the creation also is Ishvara, non-separate from Ishvara, and therefore Ishvara in the form of law is working. That is nothing but the karma phala. So I am able to speak, I say, and I'm able to speak. I should be thankful to Ishvara. I decided to speak, that is my free will. I can postpone. I can speak a little differently. I can speak loudly, with a certain less speed, anything. But once I decide, my free will is over. And then whatever happens is due to law. And that law is nothing but ultimately Ishvara. So that is called karma phala. So every action produces a result, even a small action, like opening, closing of even eyelid, etc. We should say Ishvara is at the work. In every action there is an intended result, of course, that sometime happens, sometime does not happen, but we should take it that it is according to the laws. So as a bhakta, a devotee, I continuously confront Ishvara, and as you receive your karma phala, here in terms of speaking. So since every result comes from Ishvara, you take it as a prasada. That is, this is an ingenious thing of Pujya Swamiji. Really speaking, even in a personal discussion, Pujya Swamiji talked this, that this thing is really he within the sampradaya, but then this thing I have not found in other acharyas. Really, we are very lucky. So to have of understanding of a karma yoga in terms of this. So whatever you receive from Ishvara is nothing but prasada. And it's a Sanskrit word, prasada, but it does not have an exact English equivalent. We generally say word grace, but it doesn't. Really speaking, it doesn't give a sense, because the grace has somewhat intangible connotations, and whereas prasada covers tangible, because situations are not intangible. Situations are right there, which is a solid form. Tangible. So, and that situation has been called as a prasada, and therefore definitely when you say grace means something intangible. We always, whenever you might have observed in your mind also, the grace means something intangible, whereas prasada is something tangible plus intangible, whatever. Adrishta, etc. also is there, punyam, etc. So all that is, well, it is intangible. So definitely tangible plus intangible, we call it as a prasada. So we should not translate prasada as just a grace. So when we offer a fruit to the Lord and it comes back to you, given to you from the altar, so the fruit that comes back to you is prasada, right? And now you will not call it is a grace. You will not call it, because prasada is prasada. So definitely, because this kind of a concept does not exist in a Western society, and therefore in English you won't find a English word, proper English word for the word prasada, proper meaning, because that concept itself is not there. And so definitely this grace means either a tangible situation or intangible thing, either both is included. So a laddu comes from, Puja Swami's very famous example is a laddu comes from the Parmeshwara, while we call them as a prasada. So the tangible laddu becomes prasada because the person knows that it has come from the Lord. So this attitude, behind that karma phala is, we call it as a prasada, or it is a attitude that is called karma yoga. So what converts a karma phala into prasada is purely my recognition that it has come from the Lord, who is a karma phala data. So it is an understanding, it is a seeing, and in which there is a lot of understanding involved. Ishvara is a abhinna nimitta upadana karanam, and therefore Ishvara is in the form of laws, and therefore once I choose an action and I do that action, well, then all the laws definitely shape a result of an action. Once I choose a talking and I start, then definitely all the laws pertaining to this talking are under work. They are, under work, and that is Ishvara is at the work, we should say. And then definitely if I am able to talk, I say it is grace. If I am not able to talk, I say it is grace. Either. But if I am not able to talk, definitely I won't call it grace, because my raga dveshas don't allow me. I wanted to talk. It's a binding desire. I wanted to talk. Why I could not talk? That creates a sense of emptiness, etc. That's what I told you. It's a bondage. So to take care of your raga dveshas, to deal with the shatrus, raga dveshas, the enemies, this karma yoga is the best attitude, in which you definitely take the attitude of a prasada, which comes in your life from a karma phaladata, Ishvara. It's an understanding, a proper understanding. So that's how we say karma yoga is an attitude. It is not something, a tangible thing. Karma yoga is basically attitude behind the action and behind the karma phala also. Regarding karma, we have not talked much. Of course, we talked on Saturday about, the very joy comes from the action, etc., and it makes you grow and everything. But basically, right now in this situation, we are talking about the sameness towards the result of an action, and that attitude is karma yoga. And that is defined as a samatvam yoga uchyate. And definitely that sameness involves understanding of Ishvara, and Ishvara as a karma phala data also. That understanding also is there. So recognition that Ishvara is a karma phala data converts every karma phala into prasada. So prasada is not basically an object, it's way of looking at an object, right? Now same apple which is there in the dining hall, you won't call it as a prasada, perhaps. But then if you get it from the altar in the temple, you call it as a prasada. So that's what is the difference. Both are apples. The difference is just an attitude, that this has come from the altar, Ishvara, who is a karma phala data, and whatever comes from karma phala data is prasada. So that attitude of prasada definitely, the resistance behind that what you receive goes away. That's a big advantage. No resistance. That's how we accept any kind of a karma phala. It may be a fruit, leaf, or sugar crystal, or sometimes they give even just a few drops of water also, and or sometimes a puffed rice. You go to a Badrinath, And you may think that, oh, you have gone such a distant place and very big pilgrimage, and I mean, it's a place, very big place, and they give you some puff rice, few, but you accept. So that is what the resistance towards a situation, resistance towards a different situations goes away. That resistance is ragadvesha. So that is ragadvesha which is taken care of by our own attitude towards the situation. That situation is nothing but the prasada of a Ishvara. And when the prasada attitude is there, then definitely that resistance won't be there. And that is the difference. So, and in India, everything is considered as a prasada. Even they give name prasada. I have told you in the morning. A child is also looked upon as a prasada. If a couple, gets a child, they keep the name prasada. Or they keep some name and then prasada they join. Either. I told you Hanuman Prasad and Rama Prasad and etc. etc. Devi Prasad Pandey, etc. I mean, any kind of it. So we look upon anything in our life as a gift from the altar of Ishvara is prasada, and which includes the attitude with which we receive it. So prasada is not received, then of course, and then cast away disrespectfully, well, then it is not proper. The prasada attitude is bringing the sameness in our mind. Otherwise, there will not be a sameness towards the varieties of the situations in our life. Anyway, so this is, I think, enough. We'll start now verse 48 from tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.